Far away in the vastness of space, a team of human explorers stumbled upon something extraordinary. It was a planet unlike any they had seen before. Its sky shimmered with swirling purple clouds, and its surface sparkled faintly under the light of 3 distant suns. The planet seemed quiet, almost dead, but it held secrets that would change humanity forever. The explorers belonged to a spaceship called EOS, sent by Earth to search for new worlds. Their mission was simple: find resources or signs of life that could help humanity expand beyond its crowded home. When their sensors detected strange energy signals coming from beneath the planet's rocky crust, excitement rippled through the crew. They decided to investigate. As they landed on the planet, the ground felt cold and lifeless beneath their boots. Dust swirled around them as they walked toward the source of the signal. What they found left them speechless: a sprawling city buried under layers of dirt and time. The ruins were massive, with towering spires that reached toward the sky. Strange symbols covered every surface, glowing faintly as if alive. The air buzzed with an eerie energy, making the hair on their necks stand up. Dr. Elias Venn, the lead scientist of the mission, couldn't believe his eyes. "This place, it's ancient," he whispered to his assistant Maria. "But these structures, they're advanced, far beyond anything we've ever seen." They wandered deeper into the ruins, their flashlights cutting through the shadows. Every step revealed more wonders: intricate carvings, broken statues, and fragments of technology that looked both alien and futuristic. But then, they came across something that stopped them in their tracks. At the center of the ruins stood a large crystalline pod. Inside it floated a figure, an alien queen. Her body was long and elegant, with skin that shimmered like liquid metal. Bioluminescent patterns pulsed softly across her form, casting a faint glow around her. She looked fragile, yet there was an undeniable power in her presence. Her eyes were closed, but her face carried an expression of calm serenity, as though she were merely sleeping. This is impossible," Maria stammered, staring at the queen. "Is she alive?" Venn approached the pod cautiously. He scanned it with his equipment and confirmed what he already suspected. "She's in some kind of suspended state," he said. "Stasis, maybe. But how? And why?" The crew debated what to do next. Some argued that waking her could be dangerous. They didn't know who or what she was. Others believed she might hold answers to questions humanity had been asking for centuries. Could she teach them about her people, about the universe, or was she a threat waiting to awaken? While the crew argued, Venn studied the symbols etched into the base of the pod. They seemed to tell a story, though he couldn't fully understand it. One phrase kept repeating itself in his mind: "Guardian of the cycle." What did it mean? Was she a protector, a ruler, or something else entirely? Finally, curiosity got the better of them. Against protocol, Venn decided to try waking her. He pressed a button on the side of the pod, and the crystal began to hum. Slowly, the queen's eyes fluttered open. For a moment, she simply stared at them, her gaze sharp and intelligent. Then, without speaking, she reached out with her mind, touching each of theirs. A single thought echoed in their heads: "You are not alone." The crew froze, unsure whether to feel awe or fear. Little did they know, this moment would mark the beginning of a journey that would test humanity's greed, wisdom, and survival. The queen's eyes glowed faintly as she looked at the humans surrounding her. Her name, Silithra, echoed in their minds like a soft whisper. She didn't speak with words but instead communicated through thoughts, her voice calm yet distant, as though carried by the wind. "I am the last of my kind," she told them. "What remains of my people rests here, buried beneath your feet." Dr. Elias Venn stepped closer, his heart pounding with a mix of wonder and fear. "Who are your people?" he asked hesitantly. "And why are you here?" Silithra paused, her glowing patterns dimming for a moment. When she responded, her tone was heavy with sorrow. "We were the Zalari," she said, "a proud race, builders of wonders. But pride became our undoing. We reached too far, took too much, and in the end, we destroyed ourselves." Her words sent a chill through the crew. Some exchanged nervous glances, unsure whether to trust her. Others whispered among themselves, debating whether she was truly harmless or hiding something dangerous. Maria, Ven's assistant, broke the silence. "If you're so powerful, why did you let yourself get trapped here? Why didn't you fight back?" Silithra's gaze softened, almost pitying. "I chose this fate," she replied, "to protect what little remained of my world, to guard it from those who would exploit it further." The crew grew uneasy. General Cal Roderick, the mission's military leader, stepped forward, his face stern. "You say you're protecting this place," he said, his voice sharp. "But how do we know you're not just waiting for the right moment to strike?" Silithra tilted her head slightly, studying him. "Your kind fears what it does not understand," she said, "but I have no desire to harm you. My war is over. My people are gone." Despite her words, mistrust lingered. The crew split into two camps. Some, like Ven, believed Silithra was telling the truth and that she could offer humanity incredible knowledge. Others, led by General Roderick, saw her as a potential weapon, a tool to be used for Earth's benefit. Back on the ship, tensions boiled over. "She's dangerous," Roderick argued during a heated meeting. "We don't know what she's capable of. If we don't take control of her powers, someone else will." Ven shook his head. "She's not a weapon," he snapped. "She's a survivor, like us. If we push her too hard, we'll only make things worse." But Roderick wasn't listening. He ordered his team to begin studying Silithra closely, hoping to unlock the secrets of her biology. They set up equipment around her, scanning her body and analyzing the energy fields that surrounded her. At first, Silithra cooperated, allowing them to examine her without resistance. But as the tests grew more invasive, her patience began to wear thin. One day, while Ven was working alone with her, Silithra reached out to him telepathically. "They see me as a prize to be claimed," she said bitterly. "But they do not realize what they risk. My people fell because they sought power above all else. Tell me, Elias, will yours follow the same path?" Ven hesitated. He wanted to believe humanity was different. But deep down, he feared she might be right. "Not everyone thinks like that," he said quietly. "Some of us still care about doing what's right." Silithra gave him a small, sad smile. "Then perhaps there is hope for you yet." As days passed, the experiments continued. Silithra's glowing patterns flickered erratically, a sign of growing stress. One night, when the crew least expected it, she revealed a glimpse of her true power. A sudden surge of energy erupted from her body, knocking everyone off their feet. The lights in the lab dimmed, and the equipment sparked wildly. When the chaos settled, Silithra stood tall, her eyes blazing brighter than ever. "Do not mistake my silence for weakness," she warned. "I have endured far worse than this. Do not test me again." The crew stared at her in stunned silence. For the first time, they realized just how little they truly understood about the alien queen and how dangerous she could become if pushed too far. News of Silithra's existence spread like wildfire back to Earth. Within days, the discovery became the most talked-about event in human history. Governments, corporations, and scientists clamored for answers. What could this alien queen teach them? Could her powers be harnessed to advance humanity's reach across the stars? The planet she guarded quickly transformed from a mysterious ruin into a prize coveted by all. A massive fleet arrived at the planet, led by General Cal Roderick. His flagship, the Aegis, loomed over the surface like a predator ready to strike. Soldiers, researchers, and engineers poured onto the planet, setting up bases and digging deeper into the ruins. Their goal was clear: unlock the secrets of Silithra's biology and her people's technology. To them, she wasn't just an alien queen. She was a resource waiting to be exploited. Silithra watched silently as humans swarmed around her, carrying strange devices and drilling into the ground. Her glowing patterns flickered with frustration, but she held her tongue. She knew their greed would only grow, and arguing wouldn't stop them. Instead, she turned to Dr. Elias Venn, the one person who seemed to listen. "They think they can control me," she told him telepathically. "But power cannot be owned. It consumes those who seek it." Venn nodded grimly. He had tried to warn the others, but no one listened. Scientists poked and prodded Silithra, taking samples of her skin and energy fields. Engineers reverse-engineered fragments of Zalari technology found in the ruins. Meanwhile, General Roderick grew impatient. "Enough tests," he barked during a meeting. "We need results. Show me what she can do." To prove her abilities, Silithra reluctantly demonstrated her powers. With a wave of her hand, she summoned shimmering constructs of light. Barriers, weapons, even intricate shapes that floated in the air. The crew gasped in awe, their excitement palpable. But behind her calm exterior, Silithra felt drained. Each use of her powers took a toll on her body, leaving her weaker than before. Despite her warnings, humanity saw only opportunity. Corporations began developing plans to adapt her biology for human use. They dreamed of soldiers enhanced with her strength, spaceships powered by her energy, and colonies protected by her shields. For them, Silithra wasn't a living being. She was raw material, waiting to be shaped into tools for conquest. One night, Venn confronted Roderick privately. "You're making a mistake," he said. "If you push her too hard, she'll fight back. And trust me, you don't want that." Roderick sneered. "She's scared, Venn. That's why she keeps warning us. But fear won't stop progress. This is bigger than her, or you." As the experiments intensified, Silithra grew increasingly withdrawn. She stopped cooperating with the tests, refusing to answer questions or demonstrate her powers. Her silence only fueled the humans' determination. They used machines to extract more data, ignoring the strain it placed on her body. Venn pleaded with her to stay patient, but even he couldn't deny the growing tension. Finally, one day, something snapped. While a team of scientists attempted to replicate her energy fields, Silithra lashed out. A surge of light erupted from her, shattering the equipment and sending everyone sprawling. Breathing heavily, she glared at the humans surrounding her. "You refuse to learn," she said, her voice resonating in their minds. "My people fell because we sought power without purpose. You are repeating our mistakes." Her words sent a chill through the room. For a moment, there was silence. Then Roderick stepped forward, his face cold. "Enough talk," he said. "It's time we take what we came for." Silithra's eyes narrowed. She realized then that there was no reasoning with these invaders. If she wanted to protect herself and her planet, she would have to act. As the humans prepared to escalate their experiments, she began quietly planning her escape, knowing full well that freedom might come at a terrible cost. Silithra's patience had run out. Every day, the humans pushed her further, testing her limits and ignoring her warnings. She could feel their greed growing stronger, consuming them like a fire that couldn't be extinguished. They saw her not as a living being, but as a tool to dominate the galaxy. Her glowing patterns flickered erratically, a reflection of her inner turmoil. She knew she couldn't stay silent any longer. One night, under the cover of darkness, Silithra reached out telepathically to Dr. Elias Venn. He was asleep in his quarters, exhausted from the endless debates with General Roderick and his team. A soft voice echoed in his mind, pulling him from his dreams. "Elias," she whispered, "I need your help." Venn woke with a start, his heart racing. He followed the pull of her thoughts, slipping quietly out of his room and making his way to where she was being held. The guards stationed outside her chamber were distracted, chatting idly about the latest experiments. Silithra used this moment to act. With a subtle pulse of energy, she disabled the surveillance cameras and locked the doors behind Venn as he entered. "What are you doing?" Venn asked, his voice low and urgent. "If they catch us." "They will not," Silithra interrupted. "But I cannot stay here." They mean to destroy me, to break me into pieces until there is nothing left. Help me escape, Elias. Together, we can stop this madness." Ven hesitated. He wanted to believe humanity could change, but deep down, he knew Silithra was right. If she stayed, they would tear her apart for their own gain. Finally, he nodded. "What do you need me to do?" Silithra explained her plan quickly. The facility's main power core was located deep within the ruins, close to where she had been found. By disabling it, she could create enough chaos to distract the humans while they fled. Ven agreed to sabotage the system, knowing it might cost him everything, including his life. As dawn broke, alarms blared across the base. Soldiers scrambled to respond as lights flickered and equipment shut down. In the confusion, Silithra unleashed her full power. Bright waves of energy surged through the corridors, knocking out guards and disabling weapon systems. The humans stared in shock as she moved with grace and precision, her glowing form cutting through the chaos like a beacon. General Roderick shouted orders, trying to regain control. "Capture her," he roared. "Don't let her escape." But Silithra was too fast. With Ven by her side, she fought her way through the facility, using bursts of light to hold off her pursuers. At one point, a group of soldiers cornered them in a narrow hallway. Silithra raised her hands, and a shimmering barrier erupted between them, forcing the soldiers back. "Stay close," she told Ven, her voice firm despite the strain on her body. Finally, they'd reached the surface. Behind them, the facility descended into chaos as systems failed and panic spread. Silithra turned to Ven, her glowing eyes filled with gratitude. "You risked much for me," she said. "For that, I thank you." "We're not safe yet," Ven replied, glancing over his shoulder. Sure enough, Roderick and his troops were already pursuing them, their vehicles kicking up clouds of dust as they closed in. Silithra nodded grimly. "Then we must move quickly." She took Ven's hand, and together they ran toward the dense forest surrounding the ruins. As they disappeared into the shadows, Roderick's voice echoed behind them. "Find her. Bring her back alive, or dead." The chase had begun. For now, Silithra and Ven were free, but both knew the humans wouldn't give up easily. The Queen's powers were fading, and Ven's betrayal had marked him as an enemy. Yet neither of them regretted their choice. They had made a stand against greed and destruction, and they weren't done fighting yet. Silithra and Dr. Elias Ven pushed deeper into the forest, their footsteps muffled by thick layers of moss and tangled roots. Behind them, the hum of engines grew louder as General Roderick's forces closed in. Silithra moved quickly but deliberately, her glowing patterns dimming to avoid detection. She knew the humans wouldn't stop until they caught her, or destroyed her. "We can't keep running forever," Ven panted, struggling to keep up with her long strides. "They'll find us." "They won't," Silithra replied calmly. "There is a place nearby, a hidden chamber beneath the ruins. It holds something that may help us." Ven frowned. "What kind of something?" "You will see," she said cryptically. Her tone was steady, but there was an edge of sadness in her voice. Whatever this hidden thing was, it clearly weighed heavily on her. After hours of navigating through dense foliage and rocky terrain, they arrived at the entrance to a massive underground cavern. The opening was nearly invisible, concealed by vines and shadows. Silithra knelt and touched the stone wall, and a faint glow spread across its surface. A hidden door slid open with a low rumble, revealing a dark passageway. Inside, the air was cool and still, filled with the faint scent of metal and ancient dust. The walls were lined with glowing symbols, pulsing softly like a heartbeat. At the center of the chamber stood a towering machine, sleek and alien, its surface shimmering like liquid silver. It hummed faintly, as if alive. "This is Orinth," Silithra explained. "A creation of my people. It was designed to protect us, to ensure our survival. But it became our downfall." Ven stared at the machine, awestruck. "What does it do?" It has the power to shield or destroy, Silithra said. When activated, it can create an impenetrable barrier around this planet, or unleash catastrophic energy to eliminate any threat. Ven's eyes widened. So it could stop the humans from taking you, or even attacking Earth. Yes, Silithra nodded. But activating Orinth comes at a cost. It requires merging my essence with the machine. Once I do, I will cease to exist. Ven stepped back, shaking his head. No, there has to be another way. You've already sacrificed so much. There is no other way, Silithra said firmly. Orinth is our only hope. If humanity continues down this path, they will destroy themselves, and countless others. I cannot allow that. Before Ven could argue further, the sound of approaching footsteps echoed through the cavern. Roderick and his soldiers had found them. Surrender now, Roderick shouted, his voice echoing off the walls. You're outnumbered. Silithra turned to face him, her glowing patterns brightening. Leave this place, she warned. You do not understand what you are dealing with. Roderick smirked. Oh, I think we do. That thing. He pointed at Orinth. Is ours now. And so are you. With a wave of her hand, Silithra summoned a shimmering barrier between them, blocking the soldiers' advance. Elias, she said urgently, you must disable Orinth's self-destruct sequence. If I merge with it, I need you to ensure it doesn't harm the planet. Ven hesitated, torn between loyalty to Silithra and his duty to humanity. Finally, he nodded. I'll do it, but please, reconsider. There is no time, Silithra said softly. She reached out and touched his shoulder, her touch warm despite her fading strength. Remember what I told you. Do not repeat our mistakes. As Ven rushed to the control panel, Silithra focused all her energy on holding off Roderick's forces. The cavern erupted into chaos as bursts of light clashed with gunfire. Soldiers shouted orders, while Silithra's glowing form danced through the fray, deflecting every attack. Finally, Ven managed to stabilize Orinth's systems. He turned to Silithra, his expression grim. It's ready. Silithra gave him one last, sorrowful look. Then, with a deep breath, she stepped toward the machine. As her body merged with Orinth, the entire chamber lit up with blinding light. The soldiers froze, shielding their eyes as the ground trembled beneath their feet. When the light faded, Silithra was gone. In her place stood Orinth, fully activated and humming with immense power. A protective shield enveloped the planet, cutting off all communication with the outside world. Back on Earth, humanity would never forget the last alien queen and the price she paid to save them from themselves. The cavern was eerily silent after Silithra's sacrifice. Dr. Elias Ven stood frozen, staring at the towering machine. Orinth, that now pulsed with a steady otherworldly glow. The shield surrounding the planet shimmered faintly in the distance, cutting off all escape routes and trapping General Roderick's forces inside. The humans were stunned, their weapons useless against the alien technology. General Roderick clenched his fists, his face red with fury. What have you done? He barked at Ven, pointing an accusing finger. You betrayed us for that. That thing. Ven didn't flinch. His voice was calm but firm. She saved us, he said. Silithra gave her life to protect this planet, and maybe even Earth. If we kept going like this, we would've destroyed everything. Roderick snarled. Don't talk nonsense. She was a threat, and now she's left us stuck here with no way out. He turned to his soldiers. Find a way to shut it down. Destroy it if you have to. The soldiers hesitated, glancing nervously at Orinth. None of them dared approach the machine. Its hum seemed almost alive, vibrating through the air and filling the chamber with an oppressive energy. Even Roderick took a step back, though he refused to admit his fear. As the humans scrambled to figure out their next move, Orinth began communicating telepathically. A deep, resonant voice echoed in their minds. I am Orinth, guardian of this world. Leave or face annihilation. The message sent a wave of panic through the group. Some soldiers dropped their weapons, while others whispered prayers under their breath. Roderick, however, wasn't ready to give up. "We're not leaving," he shouted, his voice trembling slightly. "This is our mission. Our right." Orinth responded instantly. The ground beneath them shook violently, and cracks spread across the walls of the cavern. Bright beams of light shot out from the machine, forcing everyone to retreat further into the shadows. "Your greed endangers all," Orinth continued. "Turn back or perish." Then tried to reason with Roderick. "Listen to it," he urged. "It's giving us a chance to leave peacefully. If we don't take it, we'll regret it." But Roderick wouldn't hear it. His pride burned hotter than his fear. "No," he growled. "If we can't have this place, no one will." With a reckless determination, he ordered his men to fire on Orinth. The soldiers obeyed reluctantly, aiming their weapons at the machine. But before they could pull the triggers, Orinth unleashed its full power. A blinding flash filled the cavern, followed by a deafening roar. The humans shielded their eyes as waves of energy surged outward, knocking them off their feet. When the light faded, they found themselves surrounded by a glowing barrier that trapped them inside the chamber. "You cannot harm me," Orinth declared. "But I offer you one final choice. Leave this planet and vow never to return, or remain here as prisoners forever." Roderick gritted his teeth, his anger boiling over. "Fine," he spat. "We'll leave, but this isn't over. Humanity won't stop until we control this power." Then sighed deeply. He knew Roderick's words weren't empty threats. Humanity's greed wouldn't disappear so easily. But for now, they had no choice but to retreat. Under Orinth's watchful eye, the humans boarded their ships and prepared to depart. As the fleet ascended into the sky, Ven gazed out the window at the shimmering shield below. He thought of Silithra and her sacrifice. Her voice echoed in his mind. "Do not repeat our mistakes." Back on Earth, news of the failed mission sparked outrage. Governments demanded answers, and corporations pushed harder than ever to unlock alien secrets. But Ven became a voice of caution, sharing Silithra's story wherever he could. He warned humanity about the dangers of unchecked ambition, urging them to learn from her example. For a time, people listened. The planet remained protected by Orinth, a silent guardian watching over what little remained of the Zalari civilization. And though Silithra was gone, her legacy lived on. In the hearts of those who remembered her courage, and in the hope that humanity might yet change its ways. Months passed after humanity's retreat from the mysterious planet. The fleet returned to Earth, carrying tales of an alien queen who sacrificed herself and a machine that defied human understanding. The story of Silithra spread quickly, sparking debates across the globe. Some saw her as a hero, a noble being who gave everything to protect her world and warn humanity about its destructive path. Others dismissed her as a myth, refusing to believe in her existence or the lessons she tried to teach. Dr. Elias Ven became one of the few voices determined to keep her memory alive. He traveled the world, speaking at conferences, universities, and even small community gatherings. His message was simple but powerful. Silithra showed us what happens when greed consumes a species. Her people destroyed themselves because they sought power without purpose. If we don't change, we'll face the same fate. At first, many ignored him. Governments and corporations continued their relentless pursuit of resources, eager to expand humanity's reach into space. But over time, Ven's words began to resonate. Images of Silithra's glowing form, shared secretly by crew members of the Aegis, captured people's imaginations. Stories of her bravery inspired artists, writers, and thinkers to question humanity's priorities. Slowly, a movement emerged, small at first, but growing stronger with each passing year. People started calling it the cycle of reflection, named after Silithra's warning about repeating destructive patterns. They advocated for sustainable practices, peaceful exploration, and respect for other life forms in the universe. For the first time in history, humanity began to imagine a future where progress didn't come at the cost of destruction. General Cal Roderick, however, refused to accept defeat. Furious at the failure of his mission, he lobbied tirelessly for another expedition to reclaim the planet and unlock Orinth's secrets. But public opinion had shifted. Protesters gathered outside military bases, holding signs that read, "Learn from Silithra," and "Greed kills." Politicians grew wary of funding another dangerous mission, fearing backlash from their constituents. Back on the alien planet, Orinth stood vigilant, its shield protecting the ruins of the Zaleri civilization. Occasionally, exploratory drones sent by rogue factions would approach, only to be repelled by bursts of energy. The planet remained untouched, a silent monument to Silithra's sacrifice. Ven often thought about her in quiet moments. He remembered her glowing patterns, her calm yet piercing gaze, and the weight of her final words. Though she was gone, her presence lingered in his heart, and in the hearts of countless others who had been touched by her story. Years later, humanity began to see real change. Efforts to clean up Earth's environment gained momentum, and new technologies were developed to reduce waste and conserve resources. Space exploration shifted focus from conquest to cooperation, with missions designed to study distant worlds without exploiting them. Children learned about Silithra in schools, her name becoming synonymous with courage, wisdom, and selflessness. One day, while giving a lecture, Ven was asked a question he'd heard countless times before. "Do you think she was real? Or just a legend?" He smiled softly. "It doesn't matter whether she was real or not," he replied. "What matters is the lesson she taught us. She reminded us that survival isn't just about strength. It's about balance. And maybe, just maybe, we're starting to listen." As he spoke, a news alert flashed on the screen behind him. Scientists had discovered a distant star system teeming with potential life. Instead of rushing to claim it, humanity decided to observe quietly, respecting the unknown. In that moment, Ven felt a sense of hope. Silithra's legacy lived on, not just in stories, but in the choices humanity made every day. Though she had vanished, her light continued to guide them toward a brighter, more compassionate future.